went to school down in Arizona and ended up getting a part-time job that worked into a full-time job for UPS and that was too good of a deal. When he finished school, he just stayed there as a full-time supervisor for UPS. Built a really nice house and renting to friends and stuff and making his house payment for him. He's got the world by the table.
So do you go down there as like a snowbird ever?
I've been too busy too lately, but he was just up here for the,
5 on Tuesday, March 5th, 2024. I call this meeting of the Beltrami County Board of Commissioners to order. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The only general comment I have is that I will not be here March 19th. I will be on vacation. And so Commissioner Gosvig will be taking the chair for that meeting.
You need a motion to accept that.
I'm going anyway, so you can do whatever you want. Is there any citizens that would like to address the board? Seeing none, let's move on to the approval of the agenda.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we approve the agenda with the adjustment or change that item 10A will be the administrator's report.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Approval of the consent agenda.
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Housing Trust Fund Board of Trustees representation. This is where we get to,
So just looking for a motion from the board, on what you would like to see on the Board of Trustees for the leadership. So when you look at the recommendations from United Way, there is an at-large role for Beltrami County staff person. I'm just requesting a motion for what you would like to see from the leadership staff, so board representation and county leadership.
okay? Anyone have some thoughts or anything they want to
Mr. Chair,
request?
I would make a motion that we would approve the recommended list from the United Way and that the county commissioner would be Commissioner Gould. And I don't know if we want to appoint an alternate or if we are all our alternates, just for what we want to do with that. But did you also need to have somebody appointed as a staff person in addition to you?
You don't have to appoint an additional staff person. I can certainly work with whoever the commissioner appointed is to determine.
Because he said Jeff couldn't be, and
Yeah.
he would have been a logical one, but, so I'll just leave that as my motion and
I'll second that.
Any discussion? I guess for part of the discussion, I just want to, do we need to have an alternate? Is there?
Probably shouldn't be there.
a designated alternate. Do we know when we don't even know when it's gonna meet at this point? Oh, it's a little bit.
Any volunteers?
I've got so many of them.
I mean, okay, Richard would be, okay, so you will amend your motion to.
Yeah,
include Richard as an alternate?
I'll amend my motion to include Richard as the alternate.
Amend your second?
Yep.
All right, so the motion is that we approve of the United Way representation designation that they have, and we designate Commissioner Gould as our delegate and Commissioner Anderson as our alternate to that
Board of Trustees.
Board of Trustees for the Housing Trust Fund. Yeah. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Is that all there was to that?
That's all.
Oh my gosh, that was easy. Thank you, Ann. Can you make everything that easy when we come together?
I will try.
Thank you. Next item would be the opioid steering committee funding allocation.
You ready?
Amy,
Yeah. So commissioners, Amy Bowles, Public Health Director. And I'm here tonight to present to you that after careful review of the opioid funds and hosting 2 community listening sessions and 2 presentations of the reset program, the Beltrami County Opiate Steering Committee is recommending the Beltrami County Board to allocate up to $15,000 per year to the client programmatic costs of the reset program. As you may recall, in September of 2023, I presented you with a request to allocate some of the opioid settlement funds for the following. 10% of the funding received each year will go to administrative costs designated in our MOA. 15% of the funding received will go to help support the correctional reset program. And 15% of the youth services, education and training throughout our county. During the board meeting, you presented me with a question. What if 15% isn't enough for the reset program? And my response was simple. Well, then we can always ask you for more. Since your approval, Amanda Sackow provided the commissioners with a robust presentation regarding the program, of services she is providing, and the success which has exceeded its original goals. After careful consideration, the steering committee would like to recommend that the county commissioners approve up to the additional $15,000 per year, so Amanda can meet the needs of the inmates to support them in their success. The opiate steering committee has been conservative thus far in spending the funds to ensure it makes the biggest impact on the residents of Beltrami County who have been impacted by the opiate epidemic. We have had conversations about limiting our yearly spending to $140,000 to $160,000 per year to ensure we have enough funding to last us through the 18 years of the settlement. In addition, we are careful to evaluate the programs using the funds to ensure they are evidence-based and making a measurable difference. It will stand for questions.
Does anyone have any questions for Amy?
Yeah, for just clarification, so the 15,000 that we're talking about tonight, is that in addition to the 15% or is that? It is, okay, so that's what you're saying is we're doing what you said we could do. If we needed more, we could ask for more. Okay, perfect, yeah.
So it's not taking away from any of the other allocations at all.
Any other questions?
Mr. Chair, so with this, allocation of up to 50,000. This is for programming and not, staffing?
Correct, it's for program fees, for costs that Amanda can use, because it's not a program that has grant funding coming in where Amanda can dip into that and say, okay, I need to buy somebody shoes, for example. She doesn't have the funding for that. So shoes aren't a great example because it's not applicable to the MOA, right? But it's a simple example. And so Amanda we've created a spreadsheet for her where she has clear directions on what would, if should you approve this spending, what would be allowable spending and meet the requirements of the MOA.
With that, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion, we approve it.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That was easy, Amy. You and Ann are so good to work with.
I even came with a whole nother page of history.
Just save it for ammunition.
Okay, I will.
Thanks, Amy.
Yeah, thank you.
And thanks, Em. Tom, administrator update.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. A little bit lengthy report for you this evening.
We got time.
Won't go that long. No, I wanted to give you, we have a lot of things going on, as you know. First, I'll start off with an employee award that we celebrated this morning. Kevin Warren in the MIS department received an award from the Employer Support of the Guard and Reserve Organization. This is an award that we've received a few times as an employer. In particular, what happens here is that a staff member who's in the Guard, whether it be whatever service branch, nominates their supervisor essentially for being supportive of their time away. Jared Lottie is the one who nominated Kevin for this award. That was a big loss. The MIS department is pretty small. And so when you take a person out of a group that's, 10 or less or so and have them leave for, essentially a full year, there's a lot of work that has to be done to cover that person's position. And Kevin did a great job doing that, and so did the team. I mean, because really in a department that small, the whole team has to kind of step up and fill that gap. And then, of course, reintegrating Jared back in the organization was seamless as well. So this is well earned. I will also point out, since we have Ann here too, that she's received this award last year. I don't know if you went up in the helicopter or not. They got canceled, yeah.
Oh,
Bill was.
were you sad about that?
I'm kind of afraid to fly, so I was like,
Oh.
I wanted to do it. It's an awesome opportunity, but I was all right when I said it's okay.
Well, they say you're on the list, so we'll see if that goes again this year. And now Kevin's on the list. I said, well, Kevin, if you push her out, you'd probably get a seat. Yeah, so.
We can put together and you can be my moral support.
Nice, there you go. All right, so anyways, you know,
Yeah.
I just want to thank the county board for its support, and also the staff and management that, you know, really do support our servicemen and women in the organization. It's really good to get recognized for that too, so that was really cool. Anyway, I wanted to give you an update also on the assessor recruitment. As you know, our county assessor has put in his notice to leave, and so we've been recruiting for that position for some time. We had a first review period that came due. We received 6 applications, and unfortunately, only 3 of them were through. So, you know, what we'd like to do, at least at this point in time, is conduct interviews, at least on those 3, and then we'll see where we're at. And if it doesn't work out, we'll just repost and continue the process. We're recommending essentially, since it's a smaller group, we think that we could probably get away with a single panel of 5 folks to do the evaluation. The committee, as I spoke with our HR director, we talked through that maybe would make sense to have a commissioner sit on this. It is an appointed position, so eventually the entire board will have a say because it's appointed, but having one commissioner during the interview process would be helpful. Then the HR director, Jody Treat, our auditor treasurer, she works a lot with the assessor. And then Joe Scarrick, who's currently in the position, he's agreed to help us through this, and then myself, so it'll be 5 people. If you agree with that and could pick a person on the committee or the commission that would like to assist us with this, we can start organizing the interviews, and we're targeting maybe 2, possibly 3 weeks, depending on what people's schedules are. So nothing this week, of course, possibly nothing next week. If we can get organized sooner, they are all local candidates for the most part, so it shouldn't be too hard to get something scheduled.
Are you looking for someone to volunteer or?
Correct, yeah.
Anyone want to volunteer? I'll be gone for most of that, so I'm
Okay.
not eligible.
I could do it if somebody else doesn't want to.
That's good. Is there a certain education or certification requirements that have to be met to be an assessor? I'm guessing.
There are, yeah, there's definitely, the job description requires a certain amount of education and experience, but then also they have to carry some certificates as well, so. That's why I also wanted Joe to kind of assist us on the technical side of the evaluation as well.
Does anyone feel like we need a motion, or is it all right if Craig just goes on that committee, and that agreeable to everyone? Or,
Other committees, we just said,
Great, go for it. Okay, cool, got it.
Yeah, that sounds great. We'll get you added, Craig. Thanks very much for volunteering for that. Also, just wanted to let you know, we are working through the development fund application process right now. The application's closed, the deadline's tomorrow, close of business. So far, we've received 8 applications, and I have 2 more that I'm aware of are supposed to come in today or tomorrow. We'll be compiling and distributing these to you hopefully by end of week. I know when Diane and I talked about this before, that was kind of our goal initially, was to see if we can't put a package together for you, maybe get it in your mailboxes before the weekend. And that would give you essentially all of, the weekend, all of next week, the following weekend to kind of go through your scores and all that stuff, and maybe come prepared at the next meeting with those scores so we can do the exercise at that point in time.
Since you're gonna be gone, will you email that in?
I will be zooming in
Yeah, okay.
from a public place.
So you can email your results into Diane for her to input into the chart.
Yeah, that'd be helpful. And we'll give you the instructions in the scoring sheet, and it's just exactly like we've done it before. It seems to work out pretty well.
Might have to give him a 101 on Excel. He's not real good on
Yeah. All right. It might be hard this year because, we only have $60,000, and if we have 8 or 10, it's gonna be a lot to spread thin. So, But we made it clear that that's what the allotment was that was chosen this year, so everybody knows kind of what they're up against there. Excellent. So another update, as you may know, one of the hats that I wear as county administrator is the leasing agent for the county. And probably in my short time with the county, I've negotiated maybe 12 to 18 leases or so, something like that. Working on one right now, which will be a new lease area, new lease space area that we've been talking about for some time in the courthouse annex. So it's about 2,500 square feet or so of new, not a new tenant, but new space essentially for this tenant, the public defender's office for the state. They've been great tenants for us, and we've been working through what the tenant improvement looks like. We've been costing it out. It's going to be fairly expensive. But typically we either wrap in those costs as a one-time tenant improvement fee by the tenant that's coming in, or we build it into the lease. You know, they have a 5-year lease, we'll take that full cost, build it into the 5-year lease, build into a 10-year lease, whatever it's gonna be. So we are working on those costs. In 2022, we did budget some money already in the county's budget, around $81,000 for improvements, with the intention that this day would come at some point in time. So there is money available that the county can front for this project. We may need just a little bit more, and I think we can move some things around to do that. But the idea is to recapture those investment dollars inside the lease, or alternatively with a upfront payment, like I said. There's a lot that needs to be done to the space. I mean, essentially right now it's not leasable. If you go over there, I mean, there's walls that need to be repaired and fixed. There's floor, ceiling fixtures, HVAC system, and really the HVAC system is the big one. The system that's over there is, when it was installed in a way that does not make it very easy at all to upgrade and enhance the system. So that's going to be pretty expensive. In any event, the public defenders would like to, the state would like to be in that space by May 1. We may have a hard time meeting that time frame with all the work that needs to be done, but we're pursuing it, and they know that we're working in good faith towards that. So just want to let you know, I mean, that's nice. We're talking maybe about $50,000 plus or minus, depending upon what the leasehold improvements are and that kind of stuff and how it gets built in. But you know, that's good money for the county, and we get several $100,000s. In fact, if you add some of the lease reimbursements for the CSC, you know, we're probably pushing $1 million in revenue that come from leases or rental space reimbursements. So that's really good for the county. Moving on to the jail, just wanted to let you know we're deep with the design at this point in time. We call it the design development phase. It's coming together pretty nicely. At some point here in the near future, we may even be able, if we can find a computer that can actually handle it, we might be able to give you a preliminary walkthrough virtually of the facility. And if we can't do that in a board forum, which would be my intention so that the public can see it too, we may be able to try to see about getting it on the website. We're not really sure how that's going to work because it's a certain type of software and all of that stuff. So I don't know that that's really possible. That's why we want to bring it to you in a board meeting. But essentially, we're at a stage now where we're having to start to make some decisions with the design to manage both budget. So do we really need this? Is it something we can afford? You know, is it a nicety? Those kinds of things. But we're also having to make decisions as it relates to what the capital investment versus the ongoing operational commitment is going to be. And what I mean by that is a really good example is just, for example, the maintenance shop that we've contemplated. We've identified that, you know, if we're going to be doing our own lawn service, you know, grass cutting and shrubberies and that kind of stuff, and we're also going to be doing our own snow removal, we need a place for the snow removal equipment, the lawn equipment, those kinds of things. You know, we don't really have a place inside the facility, the jail itself. So is there a separate building we should use? That begs the question, should we do that, or should we maybe get a service instead? So we've got long-term operational commitment costs that also are juxtaposed against decisions around capital investments. As you know, we have the transfer station over there pretty close by, and it's got all the snow removal equipment and lawn equipment and all that stuff. So there's some conversation about, you know, could we just essentially use the same equipment, you know, between the two facilities? Does that work? And so we've got to look at some of those things, but that's what's really going to begin impacting some of the design decisions that we end up making. So we can also do this stuff where we take an approach where we do bid alternates, for example. So we could design the facility, have the design ready and all that kind of stuff, and then just bid it out. And if other things come down and maybe it makes sense to do the facility and it's within the budget, it's an alternate, we can pull the trigger on it, but we don't have to if we don't want to. So anyway, those are some of the things that are going on. I'm kind of working with a lot of different organizations right now on kind of cleaning up the property. We talked about the fact that the property has lots of easements that are either non-existent or out of alignment. There's infrastructure in places that there's no easement to cover them. And so I've been working with the adjacent property owners and also utility companies, be meeting with the city soon to kind of clean that stuff up. It doesn't impact the property's usability at this point in time. It's just stuff we want to get cleaned up. So it's all nice and clean and clear for us going forward. You also, I think, are aware of where we're at in the jail bonding process. It's one thing to say, yes, let's go get a $40 million bond. It's a whole other thing to get it. If you've ever gone through a mortgage review process, you can take that and multiply it by about tenfold, and that's kind of what counties and cities and stuff have to do when they go and borrow money. So we're working very hard to review the contracts, the financials, provide information, look at the policies and procedures and operational data that they've asked for. We have a interview with S&P Global to do our bond rating, and that's pretty well a cavity search, if you will, for all things, you know, financial and operational and that sort of stuff. So that's coming up on the 11th, and that's going to be a big push to kind of get ready for. And so that's coming up. Next, I want to just mention the Bemidji Day of the Capitol is coming up on Thursday, March 21st. I've been asked by the Chamber of Commerce who from the county can and would like to attend. They just kind of want to reserve space on the bus. If there's people going that are going as part of the group, they want to know who that is so they can reserve a space. If somebody's going separately, that's fine too. This will be an all-day event, and it's scheduled to be one full day. So it's like leaving in the morning at like 5 o'clock and then not getting back till like midnight that night. So it'll be a grueling day with a lot of meetings and all of that stuff. I think so far the chamber's lined up something on the order of like, 30 to 45 different meetings with legislators and staff and that kind of stuff. So, if any of you are interested, it'd be great for me to know. I can take that to, or give that information over the chamber, and they can hold a spot for you. I don't know, you need to put you on the spot right this second. So if you want to get back to me, that's fine, but, we would want to know that fairly soon, just to reserve the spot.
I will not be able to go.
Okay.
I would go if it was on the per diem list.
Nice. Nice.
No, I'm not going.
Okay. So yeah, you'll be out, and then I think you're,
I did RSVP to add that. I'm planning that.
oh, you're planning to go. Okay, perfect. Great. All right, excellent. So I'll plan for Joe at this point in time. And if that changes with any of the rest of you, just let me know. And we can get that, or you can let Abby know directly as well. So that is all I have for you this afternoon, but if you have any questions, I'd be happy to address those.
Anyone have any questions for Tom? All right, let's go to legislative lobbying issues. All right, let's go to commissioner reports. Let's start with Tim first today.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. So, thanks Tom for saving me some time to go through my report here. After last meeting, I left town and went to the ANC legislative conference, which was a pretty good experience. As I mentioned at the last meeting, I am now also a member of the ANC board. So after the conference is over, we met as the board of directors, and I think we spent a good hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, talking about immigration and trying to develop a letter to ask the state for resources for, I guess, when, this happens, because a lot of our communities are already having a shortage of housing, different other things. So, we don't have the resources as counties to really manage, the possible influx of additional folks coming to the community. So at the AMC board, we discussed sending a letter to the state asking them to help, with, resources, funding, if and when, this should happen. So it's a pretty interesting, lengthy, conversation. So, that was part of that. But also in addition to, AMC, I got a little bit more information about, the presidential appointment to the NACO board. So AMC offers, because it's a midterm appointment, AMC offers $3,000 to attend the conferences, and those conferences, the upcoming conferences are the Western Interstate Region Conference, where we have a NACO board meeting, and the next one will be the annual conference in July. So I just want to update the board. AMC offers 3,000. I know that we are pretty frugal with our expenses and you know, our willingness to help our colleagues, you know, attend these type of things. So, I mean, if the board isn't willing to assist in me attending these as a NACO board member, I guess I'll probably have to bear the cost myself, which which per diem really helps in these type of situations. So just want to update the board with that. And also the Affordable Connectivity Plan, you know, Congress was discussing, you know, the funding for that. And I think a lot of our people, our residents here in Beltrami County really use that, which is through the Paul Bunyan co-op. That's to help pay for their internet phone. Also, the Red Lake State Band, thank Commissioner Carlson and Tom, the sheriff, and the county delegation for attending. So it's a good turnout. So I appreciate my colleagues always attending those. The jail steering committee, we met last week, and I know that there was discussion about possibly moving away or disbanding the programming committee and the steering committee, you know, the other committees, and kind of revamping them into the design and operation, which I kind of hesitate, but I mean, I'm only one commissioner. But I do have concerns, you know, about maybe the doing away with the programming. Because I feel like if we do away with the programming, I think that will, you know, say that, okay, well, you know, we're done soliciting advice, you know, there's nothing more we can do to improve the services. So I do have concerns in regards to that. Additionally, I also met with a few individuals in the community that have concerns about opioids, about the programming in the jail. So oftentimes when we meet with folks, you know, we don't get paid. We do it because we have concerns and we want to, you know, be there for our constituents. So I mean, I don't know if there's a way to put that in our you know, in what we do to explain, you know, why to explain our $35,000 a year. I mean, I'm sure we all get calls, you know, asking if we can meet, if we can have, you know, have coffee, things like that. You know, I also attended the lumper, which was a lunch and supper that was put on by the I can't remember which baker. Yeah, the baker, independent living. So I mean, we often do a lot of things that go, you know, that aren't included in what we do, but we do it because we love giving back to the community. So I don't think we really take that into consideration when we do anything, you know, with our capacity at the county level. But again, you know, I did meet with a few folks that could have concerns about what we do, in particular programming at the jail, the opioids, here, so. I'm also curious to know, and I seen that the state eliminated their 4-year degree requirements for most state jobs, and I'm just kind of curious if the county, does the county have a 4-year degree requirement, or you know, if we do, are we taking, or are we thinking about maybe possibly changing that? I don't know. I think it's something worth looking into.
For commissioners?
Well, you know, if that's the case, you know, I wouldn't be here, you know. If that's what you want, that's, you know, it's really not up to you because you're not in my district.
Yeah.
Thankfully. But also, I won't be here, the March 19th meeting. I have surgery on the 18th, so, and they're anticipating a 3-4 day recovery process, so just want to give you guys a heads up about that as well, so. Yeah, that's why I thought that was true.
Mr. Chair, just a consideration of Tim being gone, unless you can get your stuff done for the development fund. I'm wondering about whether we should do that on the 19th. I mean, I'd like to get it done.
You know, I'm still undecided on what I'm gonna do because I voted against it, so if I voted against it, does that mean really, do I really have a say? I don't know, you know, but,
I think that was one vote that to me was a reflection of where you felt that night.
Right.
But it doesn't mean that you shouldn't look at the applications and decide, this is where I think we should spend our common money. I agree with Richard.
Yeah, and whatever you decide to spend, you know, if I spend all 60,000 of it on your allocations or not, I definitely think you should be putting your input on it.
Absolutely.
So do you think that you would be able to do
yeah,
that
I should
and
be-
turn it in to Diane, even though you wouldn't be attending at all on the meeting?
Are you gonna be able to zoom in?
I probably can, but I don't know.
Depends on what kind of drug you.
Yeah. Okay, the medication.
Well, I'm actually gonna be in a public place so I could vote, so I'll be a voting member via Zoom that
Okay.
week, so there'll be at least four.
So you're okay with leaving it on the 19th?
Richard?
Mr. Chair, I had a question for Commissioner Sumner. Out of the 3 judges for the Lupper program, who was the best dressed?
And did they serve Ludacris?
Yeah, no, I think the counselor from Ward 1 was probably the best dressed.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh,
Birthday.
wow. Yeah, going for brownie points.
I'm gonna move the time to you.
Go ahead, Craig, I'll go last.
I didn't have a whole lot to report. I had regular meeting and for the Mississippi Headwaters Board. It conflicted with the Red Lake State of the Band, so I was down in Bacchus for the Mississippi Headwaters Board meeting that day. Planning Commission had a couple variances for some stuff there that actually were fairly similar, which was a little odd, but it was actually kind of nice that they ended up on the same night because it had some similar thought processes on why they would make the decision to vote the way they did. And John and I had our airport authority meeting, which was just a standard airport authority, so nothing too special. That's about it for me.
Joe? Yes, recently I attended a BICAP board meeting, BICAP governance committee meeting, KRLS, our library system. Beltrami Housing and Redevelopment Authority had a meeting recently, and so did Minnesota Rural Counties. I was able to zoom into that yesterday. And then I also got a chance to speak with some legislators on Thursday last week. I was in St. Paul anyway, and was able to track down Representative Bliss and Senator Green and talk to them about our $300,000 debacle with DHS regarding our county inmate mental health patient. And also Senator Hoffman upon the advice of our lobbyist, Eric Simonson said I should talk to Bliss Green and Hoffman for sure in the Senate, and also Representative Peter Fisher, who is a key player in the House on that bill, to get what they decided last session retroactive, which would take care of our financial situation a little bit on that front. So, and they were all very positive and receptive and said that they're all going to be working towards seeing that pass. Representative Fisher wanted some more information, and so I sent him some stuff the other day, and our lobbyist Eric is going to follow up with him. So it was a productive, good afternoon at the Capitol last year.
Awesome. Good. Thanks, Joe.
Good work.
So I went to the welcome reception for the city manager. And that was a nice event at Red Stew. Then we had the airport committee meeting. Tim said we're up at the Red Lake State of the Band. I'm always meeting with Northern Township, so until they get their sewer thing done. Per diem committee met. We had design and operations committee meeting for the jail. And then Tom and Dick Moore and Marshall from Dick's office and some folks from Northern Township, we met together to discuss what could be possible for Northern Township in acquiring land for a septic system for their township. And I think that was a good productive meeting to give them some idea of what's might be possible depending on what the board would decide. But you know, what's feasible, what's not feasible, those kinds of discussions. And I think that helped them out. And then I had the Prime Health quarterly meeting on Thursday, and Ann Schrader zoomed into that. And then that's it for me. Anybody have anything else?
I wondered on the Northern Township, the school trust land that they were trying to get, are they feeling like that's a dead in the water thing, or are they still trying to get that, or no?
You know, they sent a letter with a lot of addendums and this and that, but now that's pretty much a dead in the water issue.
Who's killing it? Is it Sarah Strong?
No, it's the forestry, the DNR forestry is pretty much the one, but
If it's a school trust fund, they're not going to let it go without the money.
well, and the interesting part is that in 2012,
That's
Commissioner Landwehr issued an op order that said you have to treat all those lands with the highest and best use in terms of bringing money in, and they're not doing it. So if the current legislature wants to take this issue up again like we did when I was there, they would have to do that to force the issue, but the Northern Township knows that time is of the essence, and that for them to wait, for them to 5 years to say no again.
Yeah,
They're trying to move forward. So what they're looking at, instead of needing 80 acres for a pond system because of the quarter-mile setbacks that you have to have from any existing house. So then that requires some piece of land that's would only work in the school trust land. They're now looking at going to what's called a package system, where they, all of the treatment is all in a package that they bring in. And it easily can do what they need it to do, and it only requires a couple of acres. And so there's a lot of places where they could put that, and we were kind of discussing that with Dick Moore, and what kind of land is available that we might have that we could present to the commissioners to decide if that's the land that we're willing to sell to them, or how would we sell it to them, or lease it to them, or whatever it would be. But we identified a lot of land that's potential for them to be able to use for that type of a system. Tom could speak way better to that because he's been involved with those companies. And actually, I think you even recommended that system, right? So yeah, so they're moving forward. They realize that they just can't wait for the state any longer, and really, I think after Tom talking, they may have realized that it might have been a better option anyway. Because, you know, it's kind of like a jail. No one wants a sewer pond in their
Right.
backyard, right?
doesn't need to be programmed.
So this might be the best solution.
Thanks for the update on that.
Congratulations to the Beavers.
Oh, and by the way, I want to congratulate Commissioner Gould for the wise decision to move from sitting next to me to where he normally sits, that changed the fortunes of the Beavers. Joe and I were sitting together at the hockey game, and then they weren't doing well. Wasn't last week, it was the weekend before. And he goes, I better go back to my spot. I said, yeah, you better. Susie went back there, boom, boom, boom.
Started lighting up the lamp.
Thank you, Commissioner Gould, and go Beavers this week. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion is accepted and we are adjourned.